Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Gatekeepers. I am Bishop Vanessa M. Brown, and I am so happy to be here with you all tonight. We welcome everyone that is here with us tonight on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and all the places that we can be found in social media. And we welcome your presence tonight. We want to say hello because we've been going for a beat. Many of you probably have wondered where we were. I have been trying to organize my life and trying to take care of my mother who was not well. And so I thank you for waiting for us and constantly keeping up with us to find out what's going on. And so tonight we have an incredible show for you on tonight. And we want to make sure that we shout out wherever you are from. And so we want to give you that opportunity. Those that are coming in the room, I see you already here. We ask that you would do us a favor and share on all social media platforms so that we can make sure that we say hello to you. We are very happy and excited that you are here with us on this evening. And so let me see. Before I do that, I can actually just go on and bring Bishop Flunder in. Bishop Flunder, will you come on in and welcome our online audience this evening?
Well, I'm just thrilled to come in and welcome our online audience this evening. God bless each of you who are with us in conversation. This has been quite a season in terms of the politics and religion
Yes.
and decision making and all sorts of things having to do with what is going on in our nation and world. And it
Yes.
is time for us to have some conversations, some fireside chats, talk with one another, and
Yes.
and seek what it is that is God's will. I know that everybody who is under our voice today is in some way being affected, in
Yes.
some way being affected physically, financially, and in terms of jobs, in terms of several other things. And the great miracle is that God has found a way, in the only ways that only God can do, to help us to thrive during this time. But we
Yes.
also have an obligation to
Yes.
put our hand on this situation without fear and without trepidation. And we're going to have that kind of conversation tonight. God bless you. And I am so glad to be with Bishop Vanessa, looking in her eyes. Hallelujah. And for all of you who are a part of this conversation.
Thank
Blessings.
you so much, Great Bishop. We are so happy to be here again on this Wednesday night, December the 10th. And we've got 21 more days to go before we get to a new year. And so we've got some things that we want to talk about tonight. Before, let me shout out, I see Bishop Bonnie Radden is here. Las Vegas, Nevada is in the house. We say welcome to you, Bishop. Glad you're here. Brother Chuck Hunt is here. Monroe, Louisiana is in the house. We're so glad that you're here. Darlene Connell is here from Queens. Thank you for being here, Darlene. We appreciate you. Sister Eliza Lewis is here. California is in the house. We say welcome, welcome, welcome to you. Karen Coleman, Reverend Karen Coleman is here, checking in from Boston. Reverend Tracy Blackman is on, tuning in from St. Louis, Missouri. Other folks are here. We say welcome. We'll keep shouting you out as the evening goes on, and we are excited and delighted to be in your presence on tonight. Jocelyn Love Kiers, Reverend Jocelyn, thank you for being on. Pennsylvania's in the house. Glad you're here tonight. We got some other people coming in, and we are grateful for your presence. We have a very, very, very exciting guest who is in our midst on tonight. I'm excited. Had the opportunity to meet her not that long ago. Bishop Tolton, we see you. Grace and peace to you. Ash-Lee Woodard Henderson is in the house. Designer and scholar in queer and feminist theory and theology, ecclesiology, practical theology, design thinking, and leadership. We are so happy to have you here with us on tonight. So much more that we can say about Ash-Lee. And we're going to let Ash-Lee introduce herself by doing it her own way. I know that there are more things that she has to say. I know her as a community organizer and trainer, freedom trainer, and so many other great things. So, Ash-Lee, will you greet our online audience tonight?
Absolutely. Bishops, it is an incredible honor to get to be with y'all again tonight. Friends, I'm Ash-Lee Woodard Henderson. My friends, my homies call me Ash. I use she, her pronouns, or any said respectfully and in right relationship. In fact, my 13-year-old sometimes calls me broski. So we're working it out in this 21st century reality. And yeah, I'm an organizer. I'm an activist. I'm a strategist. I'm a missionary Baptist preacher's daughter. My mama was a AME Zion, AME, depending on the day. Got baptized as a Baptist and then went home. So, I come from Southerners that have been trying to make a way out of no way for a really long time. And by coming together across their differences, making impossible things possible. And some people know me because I was the first Black woman to serve as the co-executive director of the Highlander Center for almost a decade with my brother out of the Disciples tradition, Reverend Alan Maxfield Steele. So I've gotten around. I've done a lot of multi-issue, multi-sector organizing. I got to be one in the number that co-founded the Movement for Black Lives. And Now I'm a freedom trainer trying to get people ready to be non-cooperative and fight with everything we've got to block the consolidation of the authoritarian regime and build the kind of society in this country that we've always deserved, not just sort of U-turn back to what we used to have. So yeah, I'm a professional troublemaker by trade, and I got it honest as a Jesus following person.
I love that. Professional troublemaker.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. Chuck Jones, we see you. Palm Springs, and Cuya Thomas, thank you for being here. Blessings to everyone who is continuing to join in. Well, Ashley, do us a favor and tell us. Oh, now you know what? I didn't shout out the people on Instagram, but we see you. We say hello and we say welcome to you as well, and on YouTube. Ash, tell us about how you got started in this movement work. How did you come to this work?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think folks would say I got it honest. My mom, I think even wherever she is tripping the light fantastic off this plane I think she would say is a member of the Black Panther Party. And so she was an activist long before I was here, an organizer, a strategist. My dad was a person in the Black arts and Black communications movement. He did Black radio, did Black news, and Black theater. And at the time that my mom and dad were thinking about starting to have kids, a Black man in the city that I was born in, Chattanooga, Tennessee, my hometown, was murdered by the Chattanooga Police Department. Black veteran was resting in his car, and then was brutalized by the Chattanooga Police Department. This was like early 80s. My dad was reporting about it on his news show on Black radio. Shout out to WNOO 1260 AM that still plays Black gospel music to this day on that station. My dad was reporting about it, and an anonymous source gave him the names of the officers that were involved, and my dad read their names on the air. My dad lost his job shortly thereafter for doing that. My mother lost hers shortly thereafter. And then I was born in 1985 at the height of the protest movement that was demanding justice for Wadey Settles. They went on to do all sorts of kinds of work. And my rural grandparents on my mother's side, taught me that if we had it, everybody had it. My faithful family on my father's side taught me the importance, both of them taught me the importance of doing this work at the intersection of the material world and our faith. And that whether people believed in the same God that we believed in, that if they believed that there wasn't any power like the power of the people because the power of people don't stop, that was a declaration of faith. And so we should lean into that and actually encourage that, and that's actually what builds healthy, sustainable, and equitable communities. So, folks would say I got into it because of my parents and my grandparents and my family and stuff. That is not untrue. But I did it on my own terms around 2003. I was a senior in high school, and I noticed that even though my granddad was a precinct chair, even though I had been filling in the bubbles of my mom and grandmother's ballots for a really long time, that the white people that came to register students at my school were only registering class privileged white students at my school. And it made me really mad, bishops. Like, I was just upset. So I called my mom. I told her I was mad. I might not have used such genteel language. And she told me to call a brother named Johnny Holloway, who's still with us in Chattanooga, Tennessee. At the time, he was the chair of the Operation Push Coalition in our city. And so I called him, and he said, "It's God that you called me." And I was like, "Well, you got to catch me up." He didn't tell me. And he proceeded to tell me he had just gotten off the phone with a man named Ben Cheney, who I didn't know. And he told me, "Well, don't you know about Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner?" I said, "No." He said, "You've never heard of like Mississippi Burning?" I was like, "I've never heard of it." And he proceeded to tell me about these 3 civil rights workers, including James Earl Cheney from Neshoba County, Mississippi, who were registering Black people to vote in the 60s and were murdered by the state and white supremacist organizations for doing so. And he told me that Ben Cheney, who he had just gotten off the phone with, was James Earl Cheney's younger brother. And that Ben in 2004 was going to reenact the Freedom Rides and register and do voter registration and education work all across the country. And that if I helped plan the Chattanooga stop, which was a stop on the original Freedom Rides, that he would send me on the trip for free. The organization would send me on the trip for free. I was like, heck yeah, let's do that. So we planned a stop. We ended up registering the most people in my city. And it was the beginning of a roller coaster ride in the rest of my movement work. It's how I learned about the Highlander Center and ultimately started going there, and then ended up being the first Black woman to lead it in an executive director capacity. It's how I met veterans of the civil rights movement from places like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and CORE and other COFO organizations. And it was just the beginning of my own experience in building movement with other people beyond what my parents had done, and in line with what my parents had done. So that's the quick and dirty of how I started getting involved in this stuff.
That's good. That's so good. It's so good to hear your story, and it needs to be told over and over again. And young people need to hear it and know that they can do it too. It's so powerful, the work that you're doing, and we're excited about it. And I want to start off, and then I know Bishop is going to jump in. There's a lot going on, Ash.
Yes.
Okay.
To say the least.
There's a lot going on. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about, I know that you've been organizing, particularly in the South, for decades. Now, I know you've been organizing all over the world, really, but in the South for decades. And we talk about authoritarianism. We're talking about fascism in the United States today. I want to know how you define it, and not theoretically.
Yeah.
I want to hear how you define it as a Black queer person in our community, and as you are experiencing it on the ground.
Yeah, I love this question, in part because I think it gets to the heart of the matter, is that actually people don't agree about the definitions of fascism. And so the goal here isn't to get us to like all agree about the facets of fascism. The goal is to actually stop the conditions that would allow for whichever one of the definitions you agree with to ever come into fruition, right? And I feel like for years, as some of us were ringing the alarm, especially Black folks, especially Black, queer, and trans folks and gender nonconforming folks in the South were saying like, hey, y'all, fascism is coming. People were like, no, fascism isn't happening. Like, you can still talk about this freely. You can still like protest. You still have First Amendment rights and the freedom of speech. You still have the right to assemble, blah, blah, blah. But what we were seeing down South, it was a MAGA takeover. But let's break it down and go back a little bit in history.
Okay.
So, and we could go all the way back to almost 250 years ago, but we won't go all that far back.
Okay.
We could if we wanted to. Let's just go back to like a post 1960s South, right? We get into the 70s, we're starting to see another reconstruction, right? Black folks, Black men have the right to vote, and we start seeing people participating in the civic process, right? Well, of course, a white power structure that revels in supremacy ideology and patriarchy and heteronormativity don't want that to happen. Right. So what do? They create systemic barriers and, frankly, sometimes very violent barriers through those state-sanctioned interventions to prevent Black people from building credible, independent Black political power. And they did that for other constituencies of people, too. They did that for women. As the queer rights movement started to expand under the leadership of folks like Bishop Flunder, they started responding to that. And what folks were feeling on the ground was over-policing and surveillance. They were seeing, like, when segregation had to be ended and the law of the land was integration. Let's be all the way 100. It was white evangelical conservatives who were like, absolutely not. We actually don't believe in the separation of church and state anymore. We believe that Jesus has to be center in all things, including the state, to our benefit, but at the expense of everybody else. Right. So we see the rise of this movement that was like, we'll take 50 years if it requires 50 years, but we are going to take over. We want to control what is the status quo in the United States. Right. Yes. So they start investing in business. They start investing in law and policy. They start investing in politics and elections. They start investing in education. Right. That's where all these like liberty. Y'all know, I'm talking to seminarians in the room. Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
So like they start creating a multi-sector fiefdom that they control. And that starts to give rise to things like the Tea Party, right? The Tea Party then is a precedent for things like MAGA. But before we jump ahead in time to MAGA, let's just talk about the Tea Party, right? This birth child of, frankly, like this weird relationship between the capitalist white class that maybe isn't like that, maybe they wouldn't identify as like extremists,
Right.
but they wanted to consolidate their power, so they would work with extremists if it meant building their power together, right, at the expense of justice and liberty and freedom for all people. So you get the Tea Party. I believe it was 2010 when the Tea Party created a supermajority in our legislature in Tennessee, right? 2010 is well before 2016, the first Trump administration. 2010 is well before the second administration in 2024, 2025, right? So in 2010, Southerners in the state of Tennessee, just to give one example, started to feel the pressure of what it means when you could win things at the local level that are good for our people, like living wage ordinances and community benefits agreements and all sorts of things. But the state was preempting it because there was a Tea Party supermajority, right? We started seeing what it was like when cops were killing Black people with impunity in places like Tennessee, when they were then surveilling and blacklisting activists, telling them we couldn't even go to, like, I'm thinking about my colleagues in Memphis who were told they couldn't even enter city buildings where policies were being made that impacted their lives because of the activism that they were doing around taking down white supremacist statues from the Civil War, or like the Nathan Bedford Forrest or Robert E. Lee statue, whichever one it is in Memphis, and for fighting against police brutality, right? They were coming for us. And we thought that it felt like an authoritarian grip was starting to take hold in our state. That's just to give one state example. That's not even to include the attacks on the Black independent power that was built in places like Jackson, Mississippi, or Atlanta, Georgia, right? Or any of the other southern states that were also seeing this rise in the Tea Party and the authoritarian grip over policy in our states. So we started ringing the alarm, being like, y'all, this don't feel right. Our people are suffering down here. And if I'm honest with you, Bishop, sometimes it felt like coastal folks on the coast just didn't care. They were like, look, we suffering over here too. We're like, yeah, but it's not the same. Like, there's something politically happening. And then comes MAGA and a demagogue with Donald Trump. And then a second administration that just reiterates what we had been saying was coming since at the very least 2010. But if we're being honest, Black folks in the South have always been a canary in the coal mine to talk about the ways that fascist movements were impacting marginalized and targeted communities. So what I would say in terms of what time it is on the clock of the United States, it's like, it's chickens coming home to roost. It's not just that the right wing is terrible that made this happen. It's also that there were things that we as movement, we as folks that are of faith should have been doing that we did not do. There were vacuums that we in fact created that these techno billionaires, these Christian nationalists, these white supremacists, these right-wing conservatives, authoritarians, and fascists are taking advantage of. And because of that, the government as we've known it has been dismantled. It's being dismantled on the federal level, which makes even not just the South at risk. We've been at risk and now are even at more risk because of the checks and balances being gone on the federal level. But now folks that don't live in the South are also having to feel the consequences of that because the safeguards that they had on the state level can now be preempted by the feds in a way that is not in their favor, which they assumed would happen under the Democrats, so they didn't stop it. But now they don't have any control over because MAGA has taken over the Republican Party, and that's who runs the show in DC right now. So, unfortunately, it's never fun to be like, we told you so. There's no win in that. And I think there's some things we have to learn about what it means to say amen and shake our heads in the affirmative to as goes the South, so goes the nation. I think now folks are living it.
It's the truth. I'm going to let Bishop Flunder say something, but I have to say that I toured with the Apollo Theater I worked for them for 15 years. I toured for about 7 of those years. And we did Showtime at the Apollo. And we came down to Memphis and Louisiana and Birmingham, Alabama. And I have to say that you are right as it relates to how our coastal folks really felt, right? We're not really thinking, right? Because we up here doing what we do. Yeah. But when I got down there, and I said, this is really real. Like, racism is like really something here. I couldn't believe it. Like, down to a Black woman working in a theater. And I'm saying to her that we can't go on stage until you give me that $25,000 check. It's nothing going to happen. The band is not going to play any music. We're not moving. We all Black people. Okay. We're from New York and we're not doing nothing till you give me a check. And she is like scared out of her boots because everybody else in the theater is white. All the tech crew, the managers, everything, they sent her to me to say that we wasn't going to get the check and we need to just go ahead on and perform. And I sent her back. I said, well, you just going to have to lose your job today because we're not doing anything until I get a check. And she was crying and she was just had a complete meltdown. And I was and the guys, because I'm the only woman, but I'm in charge. And the guys are like, well, what's going on, Vanessa? And I'm like, we don't have no money. Y'all can't get paid. I got $5,000 in petty cash. All of us can't go to jail today. We gotta we need this check. But I could feel like racism was really real and we were like about to really face it until finally somebody came and just said, just give them the check so that the show could start. Like we were standing our ground, but also like I was becoming very afraid because I'm like, okay, we stand our ground, got all these Black guys behind me. Okay, but it's all these white people out here. And here we are singing and dancing and all of this stuff for these people, and anything can happen. And then when it was over, I said, y'all get your coats, get everything, and we're getting on the bus. And hey, we're not even going back to the hotel. We're leaving. Yeah. And we left that night.
Yeah, it's real down here. And I mean, the tea is that like not everybody can leave. You know, some of us don't want to leave. Like it's home for me. Like I want to be down here and I'll fight for it because I love it. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's a privilege because there's a whole bunch of my neighbors. There's a whole bunch of my family members that couldn't leave if they wanted to.
I hear you.
Right. Or it would cost significant amounts of not only like dismemberment of family, dismemberment of community, but like capital, the money that people might not have to spend to go live in unaffordable places like New York.
Take me back to Hurricane Katrina. People could not leave.
That's right. People couldn't leave, you know, and frankly, shouldn't have to and don't want to.
Exactly. Bishop Flunder.
You bring up so many things for me. When I was in my, just about out of my teens, into my 20s, I was in Lexington, Mississippi for several years, which was where the Church of God in Christ had its school, one of its schools, and the one that was really thriving was in Lexington, Mississippi. And right there where Bishop Mason, who was the founder of the Church of God in Christ, where his house was and his family and heritage and all of that. And I can remember very, very well because I'm from San Francisco, born and raised in San Francisco. And I can also say as a side reality that the people who were part of the church that raised me, the Church of God in Christ, the people who were in California or New York were very different than the people who were in Lexington, Mississippi.
Sure.
Even though that was the home of the beginning of the Church of God in Christ. And I remember one day when I was walking down the road, everything is a road, you know. So I was walking down the road, and I came across sort of a tight space, but I was on my way toward where I was going. And there was a white woman, who was also coming in the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. But I was in that location before she got in that location. And when I got to her, close to her, I started toward her, and she gave me this look of threatening. And she asked me, she said, "You're not from here."
Yeah, who do you think you are?
I said, "No, I'm not from here. Who are you?" And I was trying to, understand. And then a couple of days after that, I was uptown. They didn't say downtown. It was uptown in Lexington. And I came in to go to the post office, and I opened the door, walked in, was waiting to get my mail, and nobody would service me. And finally, the woman at the door told me to go around the back. There was another door for me to get in. There were no chairs in the other door. People were sitting on the floor waiting for their opportunities after then. And then the third thing is that I came to a place narrow on the street, where the street was made of wood you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In the country, the street
That's
is
right.
wood. You walk on slats.
That's right.
And we came to a place on the street where where there was a mailbox and a newspaper box. And it was too much for me and this great big white man who had a great big belly, and one of the straps was down on his overalls, and it was short around his ankle and all of that. When we got to the point of where the box was, one of us had to go first and the other one had to go second because there wasn't enough room for the two of us.
Yeah.
And we stood there for the longest. I was waiting for him
Standoff.
to get down and get on the street and let me go by. You know what I'm saying? I'm a woman. I have all kind of feelings in it.
Yep.
And plus, you should have seen how he was dressed as compared to how I was dressed. And he stood there and he stood there. But so did I.
Yeah.
And I stood there. And he stood there. And I stood there. And the next thing we had to do was we had to go back by each
Belly to belly.
like this. And here's what I'm saying all of this for, is because somebody then came over to me and they told me, they said, "You're going to get us killed." And to which I said, "I'm not afraid of these people. I'm from California. I'm not afraid of these people." And they said, "They won't bother you."
That's right.
That's what they said to me. "They won't bother you. They're going to come for us because we know you." They said, and the humility that happened for me that day and happened for me over and over again is a lot of what it is that I sense and see in this present moment.
That's right.
There are people, some of us, we can speak incredible truth to power because we have it. You bring it, you're going to get it from me, okay?
Yeah.
But what we don't really understand sometimes is what else is happening. And I would love to hear from you. I feel that way really about my trans children, the transgenders. We do all sorts of stuff and then they get shot in the night, if you understand what I'm saying, because
Totally
it's
right.
just, they're disposable. They're disposable. That's the feeling. And why and a lot of the people who are making them disposable are gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gay people who don't cherish the importance of these folks, our siblings. They don't understand that as well. At least I'm not trans.
That's right.
As though that makes you better. Say something more, would you, sister?
I mean, Bishop, you just preached the whole word. I think like one of the key components of an authoritarian movement, whether they actually control the government or not, one of the key components of an authoritarian or a fascist movement is othering people, right? Is being like, these are the bad guys, we're the good guys. And it's easy to be like, yeah, like Trump is homophobic, Trump is transphobic, we don't like them, they're the bad guys, poo-poo on them. It's a whole lot harder to drink a cup of our own tea and say like, yeah, but as much as I say I'm not transphobic, like, how am I encouraging the leadership of trans folks in the church? Forget leadership. How many of us are recruiting trans folks to our churches, to our movement organizations?
Talk about it.
It's like, it's not just that they're being ostracized by a neo-maniacal, right-wing force.
Yep.
The good guys also don't create a place of belonging for them. And so quite frankly, they've had to create it for themselves.
That's right.
And, I think there's ways that we talk about this political moment and the ones that led up to them that romanticize the bad guys, that romanticize the Trumps, that romanticize the Mitch McConnells and all the other right-wing nut jobs. But I think it's a whole lot harder when we start looking at like what our movements, what are whether they be secular or spiritual, the things that we've done to contribute to this movement. I think part of what we've done is allow the othering.
Yes.
We allowed the othering of trans folks. We allowed the othering of undocumented people because it,
Yes.
you know, it didn't hurt us. You know, and we could be good by saying we were allies, but y'all, like, being an ally is a doing thing.
That's right.
Yes.
It ain't neutral. You're either like supporting the liberation, you know, investing in the dignity of trans folks and other people that are being othered,
Yes.
or you're not.
Well, you're
You
not.
know, and a strongly worded letter doesn't give me no more dignity.
That's right.
It might make me feel good. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't write a strongly worded letter, put something on your website that says you're open and affirming, whatever.
Right.
Yes.
But saying you're open and affirming and being open and affirming are two different things.
Yes, honey. Listen.
They're two different things.
Listen.
And so, you know, and you know, I don't want to minimize it. Like it literally can be, like, the cost is high. It
I
literally can
literally
cost
have had
human
this
life.
conversation,
Yeah.
Ashley, with somebody this last week, and I
Yeah.
had to let them know in a very nice way, like, this is a very respected organization that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And when you start othering trans people and they don't feel safe,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know that my church is an affirming church, and you know I have trans people. Like, we're not
Yes.
just talking about it, we actually doing it.
Right.
And I've got a trans person representing me, and
Yeah.
they're telling me they feel unsafe in your environment. And now I gotta, you know, I have to address it.
Yeah.
And now I'm
Yes.
waiting for a response back.
Yeah.
Yes.
How we're gonna deal with it, because at the end of the day, we gotta deal with it. Like, I don't know how you're gonna deal with it, but you have to deal with your organization not being so trans friendly.
Yeah. Or not. And if not, like, that's not benign either. You know?
Or if not, then you gotta say you gotta stop saying you affirming, and
Exactly.
maybe-
Actions
then
have
maybe I-
consequences
Yes,
just as
actions
much
have
as inaction has consequences.
I'm on
and
here.
maybe I'm gonna lose the grant
Yeah.
because actions have consequences, and it's okay
Yeah.
because I can't let you treat my people crazy.
100%.
That's right.
It's and actually at this point, it's not just symbolic. It never was, but
Yeah.
certainly at this point, it's not a symbolic gesture. Like, if we are creating sanctuary for God's children, that
Yeah.
means including them. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, and you know, not everybody's going to do it, and that's all
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's not all right, but it is. It is what it is. It is a true statement. It is a material reality. And what's real is that some of us are responsible for doing it anyhow and facing those consequences. And some of them will be amazing. You're going to have these brilliant, beautiful trans and gender nonconforming and intersex people in your community. That is awesome. And it might mean losing a grant. But let me tell you what, my dad would say, what I know good. One thing's for certain and two things for sure. I've never gone without something I needed when I did the right thing. I might have lost what I wanted. You know, I might have lost what I wanted, but I never lost what I needed. And in fact, it's earned me enough integrity in these streets that now I can get what I want. And what I want now is better than what I would have settled for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And
Right?
you don't,
And the
you
more
don't
of us
want,
that do that,
you don't want nasty money. You
that's
know,
what I'm saying. It's like, it's not
you
worth
just don't
it.
take it. That's exactly right.
You know, sometimes we'll excuse ourselves, Bishop Flunder. We'll say, well, all money's nasty money. Nah, you know, what's real is, like, even if you're right, even if all money is nasty money, it still says something to me about who you'll take it from.
That's right.
Regardless of what you're
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you're so right. You know, it's like, to me, you know, again, like the freedom trainers and others have been doing a lot to talk about non-cooperation. And I would just whittle it down to, if the people that you know that are doing the wrong thing are telling you to do something, you should do the opposite thing.
Yes.
And what the Trump administration is saying is that you should absolutely dehumanize trans and gender nonconforming and intersex people.
They're saying.
So that's not even a secret. They've said that there are only two genders, male and female. We know that's not true.
But that's not true.
We know that's not true. So if the enemy is saying, if Satan came up to me today, if we believe in Satan, and Satan came up to me today and said, Ash, look, two genders, I'm gonna be like, nah, man, it's a whole bunch of genders on GP. Because being non-cooperative with evil is actually, in my estimation, the work of God.
Yes.
right? So if Donald Trump, who I feel is the embodiment of evil, one of the many,
One of the many.
sometimes it's me, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
One of the many. Trump is one of the embodiments of evil in high places. And if he is telling us that trans people do not deserve freedom and dignity and equality with all the rest of us, then my job as a follower of Christ is to do the exact opposite and to love them with everything I've got, not just in word, but in doing, because love is a verb. It's a doing.
Come on.
That's it.
And what will it cost you? And I have said to people many times, everything.
Every single thing.
It will cost you everything.
And you'll gain every single thing.
And then what will come to you?
Yeah, everything.
The God we serve is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we can ask or think.
That's exactly right.
Why would you even talk about God and not believe that God is greater than all the power of the enemy? We have to be able to believe that. And what it has done for us, Sister Ashley, this is the truth. What it has really done for us is enabled us to be entrepreneurial and able to create something out of nothing.
That's it.
Yes.
That's our gift. It was our
like queer and trans people have been doing since the dawn of time.
Come on here.
Come on.
Yeah,
How about sweet potatoes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right. That's exactly right.
How about all the things that that the other people threw away, and we was low on the hog and they was high on the hog. The next thing we know, they want to know, how did we make our hog taste like that? Because we were low on the hog and turned it into a delicacy.
Yeah, I'm like, look at trans folks, right? You got Lamar Jones and Translash. You know, you got RuPaul's Drag Race on every television in the U.S. Like these,
that's right.
The idea that they are not being like the cornerstone of culture, particularly the cornerstone of Black culture, is a lie from the pits of hell.
Come on.
And, you know, I just need us to be real. Like if we, I feel like what I've learned from the Black church is like, don't lie, lie, like be in integrity. That's the first thing they teach you is like, just don't tell a lie. And if we were going to tell the truth, and the truth is we've always had gender nonconforming people in our churches.
Always.
You just might not have known it.
Yeah. Now you touched it. Yeah. Why are we acting like this is not a reality for us 100%. And has been since we've been church?
Period.
And there would be no gospel music.
Period.
I'll just put a period right there.
You've talked about it 1,000 times, Bishop Flunder. It's like,
and I want to say it again.
I want us to practice what we preach, you know.
Yes.
And even at the simplest, like with that, take all the ideology and the doctrine and the politics out of it.
That's it.
If what we argue as people of faith is that love is the beginning, middle, and end of the story.
Help us, Ashley.
Right? God loved us, so he created us. God loved us in our mess, so he sent Jesus. Jesus was willing to die for love. At the expense of delegitimizing the state that executed him.
Yep.
Came back because of love.
Yes.
Right? Like the whole beginning, middle, and end of the old and the new gospel until Bishop Flunder and Bishop Brown write a new gospel is love. And if that is the case, if that is true, and I think that's true, then it's really not complicated what we ought to be doing, regardless of what the enemy is doing.
Come on, sis.
You should love people.
And love yourself.
And love yourself. Because that's actually the T. You don't love them because you're not loving yourself well.
Something is not right about how you're loving yourself.
100%. 100%. It's not complicated. You want to know what I think fixes this love?
Tell me.
And I'm not a big, y'all know my partner who is like, personified.
Yes.
You know, I like righteous rage. I mobilize around it. You know what I'm saying? I like what you said, Bishop Flunder. I'm the girl she the girl that'll fight too. She's from Brooklyn, but
it's like Nessa.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm like, you know, I get that. I get the folks that are like, yeah, Ashley, but I don't always like them, or like they get mad at me if I get their pronouns wrong, and like this, that, and the other. And we can argue about that too. I might not totally disagree with you. If we revolutionaries, then if somebody misgenders me, I might have to like hold my shit together a little bit,
right,
and figure out how to love them.
Yes.
Right? How to love them to a different conclusion that calls me by my name.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? It's not always going to work for my righteous rage to be my first response to these things.
Yes.
But that's not what I heard you say, Bishop Brown. What I heard you say is that you love them by correcting them.
Yes.
And now they are a choice. They are
Now
a
they are a
choice. And they can choose to step into love or they can choose not to. And there will be a consequence of either of those decisions. But it's still a choice. And I think that's the end all be all, is that our spiritual communities, our movement communities are at a choice point. Will we love the people? And
Come on,
Yes.
sister.
Baba Chokwe Lumumba in my head saying, and if we don't, we'll betray the people. If we don't love
Yeah.
the people, we will betray the people. And that's what time and time again is happening to trans and queer people
Yes.
across our movements, across our churches, all of it.
Yes. Oh God, you're so right.
Ah. You know, I'm just sitting here thinking, and I'm so glad that we started with our trans siblings, because it's just really so much going on.
Yes.
And they are, as it relates to the queer community, they are at the forefront of all the backlash, at the fight of every,
right.
you know, all of these state bills and legislation and everything that is happening.
Right.
You know, they can't use the bathrooms and all kind of craziness, and it ain't really about bathrooms. Like, people gotta admit what it really is about, because it can't just be about bathrooms.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
No,
No,
you're
it has
right.
nothing to do with bathrooms.
No.
We're
And
not,
they did the same thing to us, Bishop Vanessa. They did it to Black people. We couldn't use the bathrooms either.
yeah, it's not
We
about
couldn't-
sports. It's not about
None of that.
bathrooms. It's
No.
none of that. It's
None
not
of
that. It's about power, control, surveillance.
Right.
It's about policing people, control. It's about control.
And you
And-
cannot be great unless somebody else is broken.
That's
That
the whole
was
point
the-
of
the way-
supremacy culture, right? It's like,
That's
I'm
it.
better than that. And
That's it.
that's foolish. It's just it's proven, it's unproven time and time again. So
That's right.
you know, I say this all the time, like fascists, authoritarians, right wingers, and quite frankly, all the rest of us, whether we be liberal or not, that like oppress other people for the benefit of ourselves.
That's right.
It's not particularly innovative. You know, they're not doing anything new. They're just
not
playing
new
an old.
news.
It's not a
That's
new
right.
move. It's the same old tired playbook that we have won against time and time and time again.
Oh, so true.
So, you know, when I think about it, again, to like boil it down to brass tacks, you know, Bishop Brown, you were asking me about my Southern supremacy. And what I would say is, like, the reason I think the South matters, especially if we're talking about Black folks or queer and trans folks, is because the South is the largest geographic region in the United States. It is home to the majority of Black people in this country. And people never believe, they're always shocked. But the largest concentration of LGBTQ plus folks in the country is in the US South.
I know you're right.
It's the US South, you know? And so, like, why we care about this region, the policies from this region, the guinea pig that they've made of us, is not just that, like, Black folks didn't get to the coast, but by way of being related to somebody in the global South, if not the US South. But also, like, our kin is here, our people are here. As the coasts continue to become unaffordable, or man-made climate disasters make it impossible to continue to live there, where you gonna go?
Yeah.
But back home to the South. You know how
To
many
the
people
South.
from Oakland live in Atlanta?
Oh, I do know.
You know what I mean?
We
Yeah,
know.
I do know.
We got churches there.
You know what I'm saying? How many New Yorkers and Californians are moving to North Carolina? Durham is closed.
I got
Yeah.
it.
You know what I mean? It's like y'all are coming home. And so, and even before you came home, we were already the highest concentration of Black people in the country.
Yep.
So why should we care about the legacy of Southern resistance? It's because it's been primarily led by Black and queer people from down here.
Good. Well said.
You know, that have been facing the tenets of fascism for centuries, like since the first enslaved African was on the shores of this country.
That's right. That's why we have to get together. We cannot be pushed. And I'm enjoying so much your conversation with Bishop Vanessa, because it's beautiful, and with me. It's like good hair and bad hair.
Yeah.
Somehow or other, somebody made us think that we could be better. And the reason, let me back up. The next thing we did is got some lines and see if we could make our hair straight. And then we went from one hair straight product to another hair straight, and a whole lot of people went bald during that time period.
Yeah.
Because hair and lie should not
Right.
go together. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But I will say the reason we did it is because we thought that that would make us a higher standard of Black or a
Yeah.
higher standard of colored, whatever it was during that time period. And I would say to everyone that is hearing this great prophet that's speaking to us today, if we are going to help one another, we are going to have to do something about our classism. That's what I hear this prophet saying today. We're going to have to do something about our classism as it relates to the kinds of things that we're talking about. A Baptist is not a Catholic and a Catholic, is not a Lutheran and a Lutheran, is not a, you understand what I'm saying? But those are not the things that should separate us. I think that we have common enemies.
That's right.
And they are trying to divide us.
That's right.
Yes.
Because they can empower themselves. It's not for you that they're doing it.
Yes, Bishop.
They're doing it for themselves. And when you are no longer
yes.
important, they will
Yes.
cut your hiney parts loose.
100%.
But
Regardless of party affiliation.
Exactly. So with that being said, and we go back to the South and we go back to authoritarianism and fascism and the work that's being done, how are Black churches being organized in the South?
Talk about
around because listen, we already know there's a problem with queer and trans and LGBTQI, and we can say all the alphabets. It's a problem.
And women leaders.
And women leaders. So how are we really organizing in the South with Black churches?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to shout out that there are incredible leaders, especially women, but not exclusively women. I'm a little biased because I go to one of the greatest churches in the South, Christ Missionary Baptist, with the great and esteemed Gina Marcia Stewart.
Yes,
who's been shaking things up. And part I
dangerous one.
joined because I was like, what is she doing? Like, I didn't even care what she was preaching. I just knew that the conservative Black men that didn't want women in the pulpit were mad at her. And I was like, well, she must be doing something right.
And she is. You're right.
And she is. She has earned every bit of celebration that people give her.
Yes.
You know, I think about Cynthia Hale in Atlanta. You know, I think about, there's so many, and if I start naming names, I'm going to get in trouble because I'm going to leave people out. There's folks that are doing stuff in sanctuary, physical buildings. There are folks that are doing things online. There are folks that are showing up and showing out at No Kings rallies or hands off rallies or Movement for Black Lives events. Like there are so many folks there are folks that are building mutual aid through their churches.
Yes.
Right. Folks building affordable housing on their property.
Absolutely.
Right. There's so many ways. Like, I don't want to diminish that folks are doing a lot. It is necessary, but it is insufficient. I'm hearing Tracy Blackman, the great reverend, in my head.
Yes.
Even if every Black church said that they were going to throw down to make sure that folks had health care, make sure that folks that were impacted by the SNAP cuts had SNAP benefits or had benefits to replace their SNAP benefits being cut. That Black churches just don't, even every church just doesn't have the budget to do that in the places that we live, right? So I want to right size our expectations of the Black church in the South and everywhere, and be like, in a real conversation of what are we responsible for?
Yes.
And of the things that we want to be responsible for that we don't have the resources or otherwise capacity to do, who can we be in partnership with to make it a reality anyway?
Yes.
Right? What is the risk we can take? And then for the risk that we actually can't afford, who can we be in relationship with that can afford that risk? Right. And what I know is that when the Black church does that well, impossible things become possible.
Can I say something, Bishop Vanessa?
Yes.
The thing that comes up, because I'm older than the rest of you all. So
Just a little
things
bit.
go out of my head. I just want to say, but I think that it becomes necessary for us to determine who is the least among us.
That's right.
Because there are so many people that have incredible power. Back to the conversation that we are having right now, and can do certain things in the Black community, and powerful things in the Black community. But there exists alongside of us certain people who still get the low end of the pig, if you understand what I'm saying.
totally right.
Still get the, and don't have certain kinds of education, or don't, or not thought of. And we have not done the research. Can I just go ahead and put this
Go
in
ahead.
here and say Virginia Ramey Mollenkott, who was not a Black woman, one of my favorite writers, and I mean, you perhaps read some of what she wrote. The conversation that we need to have about, even have about human sexuality. We have not really had, we've moved to the point of everyone is welcome.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of that, but we really don't know what and how people are as it relates to the huge umbrella of human sexuality and the presence that the church still has. It's just one thing for people to say, you're welcome. We want some folks like you to be part of our church.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing when they are on par and just as important and just as capable and
Yes.
just as spiritual.
Yeah, if I got the right hand of fellowship, then I should be. I'm just saying.
It's
Y'all
true.
told me I was duly elected into the
Mhm.
membership with
Yes.
all the rights
Rights
and
and
duties.
That's what
Y'all told me.
That's right.
Right? So yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we make finger painting into rocket science. I'm not asking the Black church to do anything other than what it says it's supposed to
That's
do.
exactly right.
Yes.
Tell the
And I'm
truth.
not an item. I'm not an item just so
No.
you can say that that's what you do. You know,
Mhm.
we allow her to sit, 3 rows back from the front. I'm not an item. We are not an item. And these children in the generations coming after us, they're
Yeah.
not going to have it.
Oh, they're not having it now.
They're not
This-
having it right now.
They're
As
not
we
having it right now. And
Nope.
it's not complicated. I'm asking you to like actually minister to the people.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to feed
That's
the people.
good.
I'm asking you to do what is in your mission. If you just
good.
did that excellently, then some of the
Yes.
things that are happening in our political reality in this moment, some of the things that are happening socially
Yeah.
and economically in this country wouldn't be happening if the Black church would be the Black church.
And then we would fight together
100%.
because it's going to
There's
take
no
all of
other
us.
logical conclusion, Bishop. If we were actually prioritizing what we say is what we believe,
Yep.
then there's
I'm gonna
no
raise
way
our
that I
offering.
wouldn't fight the enemy with you, because our differences actually really aren't that big of a deal. I love you,
Oh,
and they are harming us.
I
They're
know.
harming somebody that you love.
That's exactly.
Yes.
I'm writing an offering, Bishop Vanessa. You can't see my offering. Because you just
I
write
just
on
want us
there.
to do what we
Listen,
say. I want
I
us to
just
be
told
who
her
we
she's
say
a
we are.
pastor. I don't know what else we
Here
gonna
she
say.
goes. I know Tracy Blackman is watching. I heard
Yes,
you
Are you
shout
on,
out.
Tracy?
I know
Is
she's
Tracy on?
waving
Yes,
you up, Bishop.
Yeah.
I love you, girl.
I'm grateful. I
Amen.
wouldn't be this passionate about, I don't think we get a contemporary, like 21st century US Southern freedom movement without the Black church.
Yes.
But I also don't think that the Black church in the 21st century can survive if it doesn't live up to who it says it is.
Yes.
All too often we are caught up in foolishness and not living up to who we say we are.
Well, y'all called her name, so she answered. Reverend Tracy said, salvation is a communal act. We are not called to enact the finished work of the cross. We are called to the unfinished work of community.
That's it.
I love you, Tracy.
That's it. She always right.
Yeah, she be on it.
For real.
That's good. That's very
For
good.
real. And so let me ask this last question. And of course, if you have a question for Ash-Lee, please write the word question first and then pose your question. Ash-Lee, we have been talking about fascism and authoritarianism. And I know that you were very instrumental in the No Kings March.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you want people to walk away with during this time? I can tell you facts that the queer community is really wanting answers and really wanting to know what they should be doing. Just at the love feast and just sitting around eating and chatting it up with people. People are afraid. People are
Yes.
afraid.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you should be scared. It's a scary time. You know,
Yeah.
I don't tell people that they can't be scared or that they shouldn't be scared. What I tell them is that, like, bravery and courage, I didn't make this up. Some other smart person said it, but like courage and bravery is not the absence of fear. It's doing
That's
it
right.
anyway, right?
doing it
It's
anyway.
Yes.
doing it scared. I'm doing it scared.
Yes.
And I'm doing it scared after, like, white supremacists burned my office down. I've, all the things, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this without fear. I'm doing it because my response to fear is loving folks, right?
Yes.
So I think what I want folks to know about No Kings is, regardless of where you live, it is not unlikely that what you saw was a bunch of white people. That's I believe you. I believe that to be true. What I want you to know is that the reason that happens is because we don't go.
Right.
So either we can stop being mad that white people are mobilizing, because typically what we'll do is be like, white people aren't mobilizing, they don't care. They just waiting for black people to show up. Well, now 7 million people have now hit the streets, most of them white. So that can't be the excuse anymore, right? And now we're mad that they're mobilizing and we're not there, but we're online talking about how white people are mobilizing instead of going to the mobilization and recruiting our own people, right?
Yep.
So what I would say is, like, it don't cost black, queer, and trans folks a dime. Maybe some energy, maybe some, dealing with what it means to be in a multiracial, multi-ideological, multi-sectoral space that probably is going to get gender and race stuff a little wrong because it's not perfect. It's a big tent.
They need a little training.
Yeah, there's people that agree with me and there are people who don't, that are going to be in this space. But we all agree that Trump should not be in office and no king should be.
That's right.
So
and it's more
either we complain about it or we support it and move it in the direction that it will move. And what I know is, because I've been influential in No Kings, is that when we show up, when black queers show up, they shift to what we want, right?
Come on, sis.
Or we build an alternative to it that is equally as impactful or better, right?
Yes.
But, like, just sitting on the sidelines and complaining from outside the club is not cute.
I'm with you.
It's not cute, and
so
it's disheartening to all of the black queers that are trying to make it work.
Absolutely.
So with you.
I see 2 questions for you. Reverend Blackman asks, Ash, where's the next non-compliance training for those who need to be prepared?
Yeah, I love this question. So we haven't even announced this publicly, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for it.
It's okay.
Whatever. I'll live to fight another day.
You're gonna be all right.
Myself and another brother, black brother, Daniel Hunter, both of us on the core team of the Freedom Trainers, are cooking up an all-black non-compliance training for trainers. Woo! Our hope is to do it in New Orleans in January.
January. Okay.
So we're just confirming the dates with the facility that we're going to be doing it at. But I would say you should expect that the last week of January, we're probably going to be pulling something out. And the second that we've got that confirmed, I will make sure Beyond the Gatekeepers has it to make sure that you all know. But I also want to tell you that all of our materials, all of them, even some of the previous trainings, like we did a 1 Million Rising training on noncompliance after the first No Kings online, 200, 300,000 people attended. All of that, our speakers notes, our slide decks, our curricula is all on the Freedom Trainers website in the non-cooperation library. So you can get access to it already. But if you want to come and get trained by the trainers who developed the curriculum and have been training over now 400,000 people in the 1 year that we've existed, then you can be on the lookout for the dates to drop in January for our first Black only non-compliance training.
Very good.
Thank you
I think
so
we
much.
need to talk to our leaders about this, Bishop Vanessa.
Yeah, and if anybody wants it, if you want it for your community, for your church, for your organization, you can go to the Freedom Trainers website and tell us. You can communicate with us through the website and tell us you want a training, and we'll either send core team members or we'll train other trainers that we've trained. Folks like Vahisha Hassan, the great preacher. Yeah, Vahisha is a Freedom Trainer. Has been through our training for trainers. Has led training for trainers. So there's folks that you know, Black folks that you know and can trust that are from our spiritual communities who have been trained and can train more people.
Lovely.
I
Bishop
love it.
Tolton asks, does the No Kings movement have a global strategy and in particular intention to connect with Gen Z reform activists in Kenya and across Africa?
Yeah. So two things I would say. Before I get to No Kings, I'll talk about freedom trainers. Most of the core of the freedom trainers, like the vast majority, like the super majority of the core team of the freedom trainers, have
Mhm.
worked with movements in other countries who have fought authoritarian or fascist regimes,
Mhm.
or studied under them or in direct relationship with them. Sometimes they participated in the movements, etc. And we have been actively working with several of the members of the No Kings Alliance around non-cooperation and teaching them about the global struggle against fascism and authoritarianism. But I would say that the intervention of No Kings right now is very specifically about tending to our own backyard, and not at the expense of what is a global movement. It is, you are right, that there's a global authoritarian and fascistic movement that's happening across the world.
The whole world.
And what a lot of our colleagues in other places have told us is that we're living in the belly of the beast. And if we got our shit together, actually, it would be better for other people.
Yeah.
So as an alliance, we're pretty focused domestically. As individual organizations inside of the alliance, though, folks are doing all sorts of different things. Because again, I told you it's a really big tent. So there are organizations like Indivisible who do like domestic, election stuff. There are other organizations who do international solidarity stuff. There are hundreds, like literally over 200 organizations are members of the alliance. And some of them in their individual organizations are doing global focused work or global
Mhm.
solidarity work, or global missions, any number of different manifestations of global work. But the No Kings Alliance at this moment has been pretty focused on talking about the United States.
Mhm.
Toward that end, depending on which event you went to, there were 7 million people mobilized at No Kings 2. It was the largest one day mobilization in
Yes,
U.S.
ma'am.
history. Those folks were talking about Palestine. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Those folks were talking about the fact that the U.S. is going to other countries, making it impossible to live there, and then criminalizing people for moving here when we say, "Give me your tired and your poor."
That's
So,
right.
like, even if the alliance doesn't have a global line, the people that are making No Kings a reality, I'm trying to tell you something. The people that are making No Kings a reality on the ground dictate what No Kings is.
Got it.
Keep looking to a committee that's national leaders telling us what to do on the ground, but actually what it ends up looking like is what local people make it look like.
That's right.
Right?
True.
And what I can tell you unequivocally from the ones that I've paid attention to, gotten to talk to as a host of the mass calls, etc., is that those folks are thinking globally and like acting locally.
This is
Awesome.
great. This is great.
And I have to say, because we're at time, but I read your post and and the messages. Like, one of the things is you're gonna let the people know, and that's really, I mean, people need that, right? One of the things I want to ask you is, out of everything that we know that has happened since this person has been in office up till now,
Mhm.
what is the message that you want to really send to our people
Mm.
That's
right
good.
now? What is the thing that you want us to know for sure? Today is December 10th. It's 21 more days until we get to a new year. Who knows what 2026 has in store for us? But what is the one thing that you have that you want to give that comes right on top?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I would say that whoever the you is, what you're feeling is super valid. And it's probably a mixture of things. It's that things are really bad, that people are suffering, you're probably grieving and mad and angry about it. Some of us might approach those feelings with optimism, like it'll be better, it gets greater later, right? Some of us might be approaching those feelings with skepticism, like maybe it has to get even worse before anybody will do anything. And what I'd say, regardless of how you feel, as valid as your feelings are, that our feelings are not a strategy to change anything. And so they're just feelings. They're not strategy. Hope is
That's
not a
right.
strategy. Faith is not a strategy. Like none of that. Believing in God is not a strategy. It is a truth. It is
Mhm.
a tool. It is all sorts of things, but it is not in and of itself a strategy. And what I know is that in 12 months, this administration has destroyed what it's taken centuries to build. And that creates a gaping hole in our government and governance structure that someone's going to fill.
Yeah.
The right wing has put together a plan called Project 2025 that says
Yes.
how they want to fill it. That queerness is an abomination, that trans people don't exist, all of this, right? The Democrats, corporate ones especially, have offered an alternative to that is, let's just go back to how it was, like rewind to the Biden administration when everything was great. But what we know as queer and trans folks is it wasn't. It's Black folks, it's working class people, it wasn't great.
Right.
So even if we could, we can't, but even if we could return to what they want, it wouldn't be sufficient for us either. So
That's
that
right.
leaves an option.
Right.
We could decide. And in fact, next year is a structure test where we'll see if our people decide that they want to be the people who make the choice about who governs this place and how.
Right.
That's right.
Right? I'm not going to preach at people about it being the most important election of their lifetime. What I'm going to tell you is you have a choice.
Yeah,
You have a choice to either participate in the disruptions, to encourage the defections, to push the delegitimization of this regime, to build and distribute alternatives for our people.
Yes.
There is no neutrality here.
Right.
Yes.
Either you will be the solution or there won't be one.
Yes.
There won't be one that we like, that we deserve, that we appreciate, that recognizes our human dignity, that encourages us to love one another, and then to actualize that through policy and systems,
Yes.
institutions, right? So what I think is important, Bishop, is actually being the doers of our faith. I would call you into being a doer of the faith. If you can't disrupt, if protest isn't your thing, but you can feed people. If you can't feed people, but you're great at admin, then you do admin for the folks that disrupt and feed people.
Do what
if you can't do any of it, do something.
That's exactly right.
Do something that is the opposite of what the opposition, and I use the opposition broadly. I'm talking about the administration. I'm talking about people that privilege capital over people, profit over people. Like if they're telling you to do one thing, do the opposite that actually shows in action that you love people.
Because some of those people are us.
100%.
That
some
power
of us.
over dynamic.
100%.
We need to do something about that.
100%. It's some of us. Sometimes it's me.
Yeah, I understand, sis.
So every day we have to be in the practice of making the choice to love each other. And sometimes that will look like loving each other. Like, maybe I don't like voting. Maybe I don't believe it's going to get us free. Mm-hmm. But if me voting means my trans sister can go to the bathroom when she wants to go to the bathroom in public, I'm going to
vote. Exactly.
It's
not always about me.
It's not always about me.
That's it.
It's us.
Right.
It's always been about us. So,
and you don't have to run everything. If I could say anything,
in fact, it's really great not to run everything. Ask me how I know.
You don't have to be the last word on everything.
Yeah, it's actually really great to sometimes be an us and not a me.
How about that?
It's actually really great. It's really great.
I love you like so enough. I need you to know.
I mean, seriously, there's nothing I wouldn't do for Beyond the Gatekeepers and the two of you and T-Fam. Like,
we love you, honey.
Anything, whenever. But I think I want our folks to have a little faith and then practice it like we believe.
That's it. We're gonna tackle you in just a little while.
Like you said, exactly.
Anytime.
This is good. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you, Ash-Lee. Thank you, Bishop Flunder. All of you that have been online with us all night long, Elder Deneen, Bishop Sonia, Michael T. Blakey, Terrell Jr., Bishop Bonnie, thank you, Bishop Paris LaBelle, Keith Wilson, Instagram people, Dave, Minister David, Chuck Hunt, I'm shouting them out, Bishop Tolton, Reverend Blackman, LaDonna Clark. Oh, they are here. They are in the room. Pastor Sue for being our tech tonight. Dr. Anthony Bailey, Pastor Victoria Burson, Chuck Hunt, I see you all. And we just want to say, Pastor Erica Geralds, thank you for being on Jaded Heart and on Instagram. Thank you. We sending you all love and light. Pastor Samuel Offer, Maria Cadell Harris out of Denver, Pepsi Brown, YouTube. Thank you, YouTube folks that are on here.
Yes.
Pastor Elizabeth Ann Jefferson, Bishop Andrea Vassal. Thank you
All
all
right.
for showing up on tonight and being a part of this conversation. Diane Rodriguez, thank you, late Pastor Ronnie Jordan, thank you. Dana
Yes.
Hamilton, thank you.
Mhm.
Colette Walker, thank you. Reverend Scott and Deacon Marlene McLaurin. Let me say this. This is the end of the show, but it doesn't have to be the end of the conversation.
That's right. Please don't let it be.
Make sure you share it with other
That's right.
people so that they can hear this conversation, so they can know which direction and they need to take. We're not here to tell anybody what to do, but certainly we want you all to carry on the conversations, and wherever your spaces and places are that you feel comfortable doing it in, we want to say we love you, we want to say God bless you, and we want to say have a wonderful evening.
Love you.
Love y'all.